Hi there, and welcome. Now it's time for America's favorite podcast, Leave Your Mark, with your host, Vince Cortese.
If it's fly, loose fitted, it's Cortese. If freezing, chubbers in it, it's Cortese.
Leave Your Mark is about inspiring the world, one guest at a time.
Pass the word from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh, from urban to suburb, it's Cortese, you heard?
And here is our host, Vince Cortese.
This is Leave Your Mark. I'm Vince Cortese, and today's guest is Kenneth Allen Thomas. On June 19th, 2018, his life changed forever. His youngest son, Christian, was born with Down syndrome, was diagnosed with AMKL leukemia. At the time, they had no clue what to expect. Their little boy was only 14 months old at the time and already in a fight for his life. Kenny and his wife had to put everything aside to help their son mentally break through, and they end up shutting down their dance studio, which was the only source of income to care for Christian and their 3 children. Kenny, thank you for being our guest here today. You're the dancing dad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Vince.
Well, I mean, the story is incredible. I want to touch on your background here, where you grew up, and let everybody get a chance to know you and get to see what your character is all about. And then we're going to get into what you're currently doing, because it is beyond exciting. You're a social media sensation, and all of your life's experiences has come to full bloom for you. So where were you, where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Willingboro, New Jersey. It's about, it's in Burlington County, South Jersey, maybe about 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
Okay, and then you had a sister and a brother, Desiree and Nikita.
Yeah, Desiree and Nikita, yeah.
Okay, now your dad, Stephen, and your mother, Tina. Dear, yeah. I think that this is great. I love that your father was a staff sergeant, your mother's an administrative assistant at the church. Mm-hmm. And as we tell your story, we're going to see how their characters play a role in who you become, for sure.
Absolutely.
All
yeah.
right. Now, in your childhood, I think that you got your calling right away. So you were attracted to street dancing?
Yeah. Attracted to street dance in my teen years. And also, you know, just doing it at parties and things of that nature early. I was allowed to go to different clubs and parties at the age of, like, teen clubs and parties back then, when it was a little safer, like around, you know, age 13, 14 years old. And every chance that I would get, I would just go out and dance. You know, my older cousins are from North Jersey, so anytime we had like a family event or something like that, I would see them dancing, and then I would go home and practice the dances that they would do at some of the family events that they had at the clubs and the parties in North Jersey. And I would bring them down to South Jersey to my friends, and nobody would know where I got those dances from. So it was kind of cool being the cool kid that knew all the hot dances that didn't make it down our way yet.
No, that's you were already influenced and didn't even know it. So now you're at high school, you're going to Holy Cross.
Yeah.
And what are some of the activities and interests you're participating at school?
Yeah, so during that time, I worked a lot. I was working at ShopRite, and I also worked on the New Jersey Turnpike during my senior year in high school. So I also played football, you know, for the Holy Cross Lancers, and in baseball. So I was really active in baseball, football. Those are like my 2 main sports. I did a little bit of basketball in middle school, but throughout most of high school, it was a lot of working and just getting my, you know, just getting the work life under my belt and learning responsibility, things in that nature. And yeah, just being able to go out there and be more independent on my own.
I have to ask, seeing the dance moves that you have there on the social media, what position did you play on the football field?
I was a cornerback. I was a cornerback.
Okay.
Yeah, I was DB.
Fast hands and fast feet. I'm assuming you had like a good 40 time as well.
My 40 time wasn't that fast or whatever, because compared to the guys that I was playing with, my 40 time was not as great as theirs. But I would say I was pretty quick.
I would say if you're in the secondary, you got some speed.
Yeah.
Now, what position did you play in baseball?
Baseball, I played second base in center field. So I was center field.
Oh, okay.
So second base. Yeah.
Oh, you had the speed.
I love
in center field. You got to cover a lot of territory over there. They knew where to put you.
Playing second. Yeah, you got to.
All right, now you're coming through. You graduate high school at Holy Cross, and it's time to get on with the next level of life. What do you do?
Well, from there, honestly, I was supposed to be an architect. I had took up architecture in high school. When I did that, I was pretty artsy, so I always liked to draw. Always was a creative guy. My mom pushed me into going into architecture, so I went to Burlington County College. Started off there. I really didn't love it. My mom always said, you know, make sure you do what you love. If you don't do what you love, you're just pretty much going to be miserable throughout your life. And I took that to heart. So one day, my friend Bryce, he comes to my house. We live down the street from each other. Knocks on my door, says, "Listen, I know that you dance. I know you're at all the parties. Did you want to, you know, join in?" He has his father was in an African drum group, and they would go to these different schools and do assemblies at the schools. So his dad gave us an opportunity to open up for their African drum group, and we would do our hip hop and street dances for all these different high schools and elementary schools at the time. And that's kind of like how my career started going taking off inside dance. And I would be in the club like every week, Vince. Like every week I was in the club. Every day really, we were in the club dancing. That was kind of like our dance studio at the time, because we didn't have enough money to go to afford lessons or anything. So everything that we learned, and there was no YouTube at the time either. So everything we learned was simply at a party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but live, you know, it's different when you see entertainment live. The energy coming off of the performers, everything, the whole thing is just so much better. Now, you're getting all this in high school, so you go to college and you're still doing more of the same. So you make a decision in college. What do you do?
Yeah, I quit. I quit college.
Did you get a chance to get into any of your major classes, or what?
I didn't.
Were you going for the architecture?
I was going for architecture, but I was doing all basic classes first. And I said, you know what? If I'm paying for this, I'm not going to continue to waste my money on it. You know, so my parents didn't pay for me to go to college. I had some money saved up from my grandfather who had passed away, and that was part of the inheritance. He had gave me a little bit to go. And it paid for like my first year, and then my second year I was paying for it. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to keep wasting my time in this because I don't love it. I feel like I'm taking somebody else's spot that wants to be here. So I went ahead and made a decision and said, I'm going to go dance full time. My mom had no clue or why I would do that. But later in life, when she saw me on TV, she kind of changed her tune a little bit and saw that, okay, I can actually make a living off of this.
I think your mom might have forgot that she told you to do what you love.
Right. Exactly.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Be our friend on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Whether jumping out the MP or jumping on the app.
You are listening to Vince Cortese. We just want you to leave your mark.
That's excellent. So now you're getting out and you go and you literally on a world tour. I mean, you said that you turned a professional dancer at 19 and you're pro for 37 years. And I mean, I'm looking at your resume here. You're all over the world.
Years, pro for 20 years. I'm 38 now, but I wish I was pro for 37 years.
I'm sorry. At 37, you were done. I'm sorry.
I was done at 37. Yeah.
But no, I mean, share with me a little bit about that's an incredible experience to tour the world and then to be an entertainer as well. That's like, so share with me what went on then.
Yeah. So it wasn't as I'm not going to say it's easier for people these days, but back in the early 2000s, it wasn't as you didn't have a lot of access, right? So you had to actually be in the mix of every event in order to get noticed. So you had to go to New York, you had to go to Baltimore, you had to go to these different places where big time choreographers were actually looking for other dancers, or you would have to hear about an audition for a certain show or a certain event or a certain artist at the time. For me, to make money, I turned to dance teaching. One of my first jobs was at the YMCA. And at this time, I was only making like $17 a class. So it was really, really low money. And I had to work my way up, build my resume up. And it was all about the connections and who you know. What really turned style for me was this website called dance.net at the time. And they were looking for hip hop dance teachers in different areas. So I would travel from South Jersey all the way to North Jersey to get to book these dance jobs. And luckily, I was good enough to fill up my week with over 25 classes per week, and with different opportunities all over the state of New Jersey. From that's how I would make, continuous income and hold myself down. But the opportunity to go to different spots like Tokyo and Italy and Bulgaria was really more so coming from being in the battle scenes, the battle dance scene, and promoting myself when Facebook first came out, when YouTube first came out, and pushing out, my own dance videos and sending them out to people. And it was really more so about networking with as many people as I could to gain these opportunities. So I was with a group called Face to Flav at the time, which really was my roots of the foundation of who I am as a group called the Clutch Collective. And creating my own dance than anything else. You get so much experience getting able to meet different people, different cultures. What do they like? What do they don't like? What they don't like? And learning about them, and they get to learn about me as well too. And I get to share with them my life experiences.
Now you touched on you're 37 years old, so you grew up the whole time with a computer, correct?
Yeah, well, until I didn't grow up with a computer, actually. I grew up, we didn't get a computer till I was maybe about, I would probably say 14, 15 years old, somewhere around there. Maybe a little bit younger.
But you mentioned about being aware about YouTube and so forth. So you had a business savvy to you. Just kind of going back on your story of how you booked 25 shows or classes. So you dropped seed. This was excellent. I mean, you instinctively you drop seed. So this would catch root, and then your understanding of the internet, I touched on that, was you positioned yourself before it really became a big deal to be on YouTube and so forth of what you were doing. So you had a vision. And so, I got to touch back on this with your mom and your dad and being the influence that they were, that this part of the structure, because, you were mentioned in high school, you had a job. Not a lot of kids work in high school, so that ability to discipline yourself and at a young age, you've prepared yourself for later in life so much better. So we go through all of this and you're experiencing the success. Now, I want to touch on the introduction. So at what point in your life are you married? And then you start forming a family?
Yeah, well, let me just go back real quick, and I'll get to that in a second. Let me pull you back for a second. My mom and dad, when I was 10 years old, their jobs took them away from the home, right? So this is kind of like where my leadership really began. My sister is 4 years younger than me. And my mom, when she was administrative assistant, her job took her to St. Louis. My dad was actually stationed in Ohio. They didn't want to take us away from our family and friends in New Jersey. So we had other family members kind of watching us. And I would see my mom and dad like probably every 2 to 3 weeks. And from there, I think that kind of like developed my, my skills as a leader and business savvy and things of that nature, because you had to kind of get prepared and get ready. 10 years old,
Yeah, I mean, and on fronts you're probably still learning about. That foundation was huge for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what it led, through me being a dancer and now being married with 4 children. It's me and my wife Josie, love her so much. She's the one that is part of the backbone of our family as well too. Her strength, her resilience, her faith, her love, and what she's doing just in life in general is so admirable and so amazing. I love talking about her, if you can't tell, but it's like so we get married, and then we have Christian. Christian was born with trisomy 21. We didn't know what trisomy 21 was all about. We have family members that have certain special needs and things in that nature, but we had no clue on how to be a parent of a special needs child, especially with trisomy 21. And if anybody doesn't know what trisomy 21 is, it is Down syndrome, but it's the 21st chromosome in your body that has 3 copies of the same gene. So normally you get 23 chromosomes from mom, 23 from dad, which creates 46. But people with Down syndrome have an extra chromosome, so they have 47 chromosomes instead of 46 chromosomes. So so Christian was born, and our life ended up changing completely at that time.
No, I mean the diagnosis, just to kind of touch on him, where is he in the birth order? You have 4 children, correct?
Yeah. Christian is last. Christian is the baby of the family.
Okay, so he's only around 14 months with Down syndrome. You're making the mental adjustments to that. And as a family, the baby is different. I'm sure the children are recognizing that. So, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, you find out he has leukemia and he's only 14 months old. You know, just share with me what goes through your mind.
So when he was first born, he had a rare blood disorder. That blood disorder, he had really low platelet counts. And for the audience, anybody doesn't know what platelets are, it's pretty much the red blood cells that clot your blood. If you get a paper cut, if you get something like that, that's what clots it up, right? At that point, Christian had to get blood transfusions and to get, you know, blood growing and get the cells forming over and over again and mutating into more. So his first 14 months, Christian was in the hospital at least 2 to 3 times a week, just getting blood work done. So we're always at the doctor's office. We were always back and forth at Cooper. And month 14, he had his hematologist had saw something in his blood. She didn't like it. Told us to go get a second opinion over at CHOP in Philadelphia. And at that point, we're thinking that everything's going to be normal. We're going to get out of here in about 45 minutes. Everything's going to be straight. But, you know, 45 minutes turned into 32 days in the hospital, right? So for the audience, really quickly, you know, what do you do when your life changes just out of nowhere, right? How do you get to the next level? What is the mental state? What are the steps that you need to take? And I'm going to tell you guys what I did. It was, number one was I had to remove myself to improve myself. Mm-hmm. What do I mean by that? I mean, I had to remove myself from the actual room for a second, right? I had to remove myself from the room. I had to think about this and not react in a way that would inflict my family in more danger, in more fear, in more worry, or anything like that. And as a leader, sometimes we have to take a step back. So what I did was I took a step back. I'm a man of faith. So I talked to God, what do you want me to do? So what I did was he said, listen, set the atmosphere and create a positive atmosphere around Christian and the family. So we go in there before an ounce of chemo even hits his body. And we went ahead and we created this positive atmosphere around him. And I talked to the doctors. Doctors came in and I said, listen, guys, before you guys give us the rundown, let's establish a few ground rules here. I know you guys are going to come in, you're going to do your job. But what I need from you guys is to make sure that every person on your team, please relay this message to them, that they come into our room with a positive attitude. Whatever you're going through personally has nothing to do with me. And I'm going to pray on that. But what has to happen right now, I don't care if you're a nurse, a doctor, a tech, I don't care if you're a tarantula, you come into this room, you come in with positive attitude no matter what, because it was vital. I oftentimes say this, Vince, when we change the mind, we change the game. Right? When we change the mind, we change the game. 70% of illnesses start within the mind. So if they start in the mind, we can end them in the mind, right? So at this point, it was, you know, if anybody is listening, listen, write this down. The number one thing that you got to do is remain sober-minded, okay? Oftentimes when people get, when they get so wrapped up in what's happening to them, right? Now, let me tell you something. Your feelings don't know your future. So why would you trust them, right? Your feelings, you could be hurt one minute and you be feeling good the next minute, okay? They could be wishy-washy. They're pretty fickle, okay? But if you think with logic and you remain sober-minded, you can get through the next level. So that's really what I did, Vince. I pulled myself back in all of that training from me as a kid, and my mom having cancer as well too, really trained me to know, okay, this is what we're going to do.
You were beyond instinctive at that point. Your experience level told you exactly what to do. That's amazing. I think that's your connection to this Holy Spirit in you. Your intuitive is literally conversational. A lot of people have to work on that or figure that out, but you definitely are in touch with that on a whole nother level.
If you are listening from Australia, Florida, or just from around the corner.
From East Coast to West Coast outlets, if you're not into the dirty South straight, make a left and body.
Contact us. Leave your mark with your host, Vince Cortese.
So how do you guys move forward from this? Like, he's already going to the hospital. You're in a bit of this routine. Now he's staying. So like, what are they suggesting you should do? And what do you do?
Yeah, so they didn't really suggest much of anything. Everything from their standpoint was more medical, right? So they gave us the rundown. They gave us a whole crash course on what the particular leukemia that he was facing, on what that's all about. My mission as a father was make sure that make sure my children are okay mentally first. So my 3 kids, they, this is where we pulled on our support system. Okay. I wrote a book called How to Lead Through a Storm. It's a small ebook and everything on my website. It basically talks about, what are those 3 things that you need in order to get through the storm? I mentioned one of them was, remaining sober minded. Okay. And then the next thing is being that tone setter. So we had to set the tone for the family. And then the third thing is that inner circle. Who's in the inner circle? We pulled on our family members. We pulled on our friends, those we knew that that we can trust that they're going to help us through this situation. Shutting down my dance studio was the biggest decision that I had to make. We were open 6 days a week, went down to 2 days a week. So sometimes as leaders, we have to make really, really tough decisions. I knew that being there for my wife and my son inside that hospital room was number 1 priority, and making sure that I was there for him. So a funny story, they brought in this team where they do PT, OT, when you have a physical therapy, occupational therapy, different types of therapy to help them and push them along, because they may be delayed in certain aspects of motor skills and things in that nature compared to, the average human being. So they brought in the musical therapy people, and this is where I had to stop the presses for a second, because they brought in these guys, these women with the ukuleles, and I'm a street guy, so no disrespect, but let me go ahead and push those ukuleles out of here. I'll take care of the music. You guys handle everything else. And that was the day that I started dancing with my son. This is about 7 days into his treatment. Started dancing with my son. I said, babe, go ahead and turn on some James Brown, and let's go ahead and get busy for my son, right? And we start dancing, start moving. And next thing you know, before this, my son didn't sit up by himself.
Oh my.
Because he had low muscle tone. So 7 days in, they said that he wouldn't be able to, he would be weak. He wouldn't want to eat. He would be too tired. All these different things that they were saying, it was actually the complete opposite of what was going on. And I think a lot of that had to do with the type of atmosphere that we have already set in place before the chemo even hit his body.
Okay.
So when the music hit, Christian started sitting up by himself, and he started bouncing and moving and grooving. I'm like, wow. And at that point, my wife and I, we posted it on Facebook and Instagram just to let people know that he was okay. And the next thing you know, it started catching fire, and people were so inspired by, our strength and our faith, and, father dancing with his son and dancing the cancer out of him pretty much. And it started to really catch wind with Steve Harvey, Sierra, all these different news stations started to notice who the dancing dad was, because we would do a dance every single day just to make sure that his mind was right and happy. Every day it was our thing that we do. And when we started seeing people latch onto this, we said, wow, there's so many people that need help in so many other areas. Even though we're going through this trial that we're facing right now, how many other people can we help in the process? Because I already know that my son is healed. I already know that he already won the fight. We're operating from victory, not going to victory, right? And that's the difference. When you operate from victory and not focus on going to victory, then you've already won. All you have to do is just go through the entire battle, and your testimony is exemplifying what other people need to get through their own.
I knew there was a reason I wanted you on here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
No, this is I love this. So this is all good energy. Now, yeah. Where you said he's already healed. So where are you currently? What's the current standing of his condition and what you're doing now?
So I hope the audience is ready for this. Listen, normally it'll take somewhere upwards of 300 days or more for him to be declared cancer-free, right? Christian actually shocked the doctors by defeating cancer in half the time projected in just 149 days. And you ask any doctor or anyone that's in Leukemia Lymphoma Society or anybody like that, they're like, that's not normal. That just doesn't happen, right? So here's what I'm going to give you guys. I oftentimes say this: use your gift to make the shift. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Use your gift to make the shift. And here's why. The extra chromosome that was already implanted inside Christian at birth is what helped save his life. Okay. Oh, if the average person was to have, Christian's particular leukemia, those with 46 chromosomes would have a 30 to 40% survival rate, 30 to 40% survival rate. Christian with the extra chromosome in his body actually helped him and increased his survival rate to 80 to 90% survival rate, right? Because of that extra chromosome that was in his body is linked to that particular cancer, right? So that alone, right? You guys got to understand, you got to start using what you already have inside you to get to the next level. What do you have, right? Do a diagnosis of yourself and like a self-diagnosis, and really look back and see what is going on inside you. So at this point, it was all about, okay, using the gift of what you have. Me, I'm gifted at dance. I'm gifted at leadership. So I knew that I can use those two things in order to help my son and push him to the next level. I knew that I could use that to help my wife, to help my children when they were not feeling as great, when there are times that they didn't feel up to it, when there were times where I didn't even feel up to it. I would use these practices over and over and over again, because let me be honest with you, not every day is going to be peachy. Not every day is going to be positive. Not every day is going to be great. But if you have that phenomenal will inside you to say, you know what, I'm not going to allow this day to be to trickle down to where I'm going to be a Debbie Downer all day long. There's 1,440 minutes in a day, right? I want to take every last one of those minutes to focus on trying to be successful. I may have a bad 5, I may have a bad 10, I may have a bad 60, but I'm not going to have a bad 1,440. That's what I'm not going to do.
This is awesome, man. I love it. I love it. It's like the reality of we can take control.
Yes.
And these are decisions that we make consciously, and then we experience the beauty of our courage behind the decision.
Absolutely.
And you just do it time and time again here.
If you have a story to share, tell us, how are you going to leave your mark? Contact us. Leave your mark with our host, Vince Cortese. Be our guest.
Let me say this about control. I think that you're right, but at the same time, here's what I want people to understand about the word control. Sometimes we can't get to our next level because we want to be in control when really we're just in charge, right? People are holding on to so much control over things that you're not supposed to control. You're in charge of it, right? You can prepare, right? You can prepare and pay attention to detail. The outcome is going to be the outcome. So you're in charge of your preparation. You're in charge of, your attention to detail. But the outcome will always be the outcome. You can't control what that's going to be. I could prepare to be, the greatest speaker alive, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually going to happen, right? I'm just doing the best that I can in what I'm in charge of. So for anybody out there that's listening, listen, man, sometimes you got to let go of control and just start to get in charge of what is in front of you and direct it from there.
That's a fantastic transition.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic, what you're referencing there. That's penetrating.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I have to ask you, how would you like to leave your mark?
I want people to just understand one thing. Okay. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow will worry about itself. And today is all you have. And if today is all you have to impact today the best way you know how. I want to be, remembered in the sense of, hey, he lived his days one of one, right? There'll never be another January 1st, 2022. The day's gone, right? Mm-hmm. It'll never be another today after today is over. You only have right now. So I don't want people to remember me as, just the dancing dad. I want people to understand that I live my life one of one, 1,000%, every single day, no matter what. And I went for it, even if I fail in the process. I fail forward and I fail going for it. And I'm going to leave it all on the table. So if I had to sum it up into one word, it's true leadership. True leadership.
And that you are, my friend.
Yeah.
That you are. Wow. Wow. The battle is won, as you said earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's already within us.
Yeah, we have to. You got to understand that. You have to believe. First, you have to believe it. You got to believe it. A lot of times we get so wrapped up in our own mess, right? We forget to convey the actual message that's coming from the mess, right? So if you get out of your own stuff and get out of your own way and remove yourself from the situation and just take a step back and look, it's okay to like pull yourself out of time. Okay. I tell a lot of my clients this. It's an assignment when I do coaching, it's an assignment that I tell all my clients to do. It's called the special 5. Okay. And the special 5, you can sum it up to being a form of smelling the roses in a sense, where, hey, I want you to take 5 minutes out of your day. I don't want no phone, no emails, no wife, no husband, no kids, no nothing. Just you. That's it. You, nature, or your basement, or your attic, or your coffee, or whatever. And I want you to focus on one thing a day. Focus on that thing for 5 minutes and just appreciate what came from it. The seeds that we were talking about earlier that were planted for that thing to actually be here. And you actually get to experience a coffee table that's in front of you, a truck that's delivering food, right? A car that's filled up with gas. Like these things came from someone's mind and became a physical thing. And so many times we are just going through life and we're just rolling through, not smelling the roses and appreciating the things that we actually have in front of us, right? So take 5 minutes a day, do a special 5. I know it's hard to do because we get so wrapped up in our thing, but put an alarm on and put that bad boy in there and make it a priority.
Right.
When you make you a priority, you will be better for everybody else, right? It's probably one of the most cliche terms ever, but it's so true. Get back to the basics and focus on that. Focus on you and give yourself that time. If you don't give yourself an hour out of the day, you can at least give yourself 5.
Yeah, we're worth 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. The Dancing Dad, where can we find you? Give me the rundown. Where can I find you? Your call tags and website and everything, if you would, please.
Everywhere. Can you just Google Kenneth Allen Thomas? If you Google Kenneth Allen Thomas, Kennith, it's spelled differently, Kennith, Allen, Allen Thomas, Thomas. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on YouTube as well there, and on TikTok and everything for the younger generation. If anybody is listening, I'm on TikTok as well too. So you can find me anywhere online. I'm always giving out, leadership tips, positive motivation, sharing my family. My values are faith, family, and leadership. Simple as that.
All right. Thanks again for coming by, Kenneth.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Leave Your Mark today. Tune into our next episode of Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese. Be blessed.
You just left your mark. Thanks for listening. Listen to more episodes on demand. Just click Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese.